What's going on, guys? Jason Damico here. On this video, I want to take a look under the hood at a really fun project that I had the honor of being a part of and producing, mixing, mastering. The record is called The Crowbar Situation by the artist Something Outrageous, who the creator of the project happens to be a great friend of mine, Brett Fox. Shout out to Brett. Brett and I have worked together for a number of years, and this was his debut album back, I believe, in 2021. And The Elderly is Ruined was the single that was pushed with the release. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of show you guys, it's really a perfect example of parallel processing, number one. Number two, just if you're going back and forth and trying to find a happy medium or compromise, really, it's not even a compromise. It's just really finding the sound that is both going to work from an industry standard standpoint and what the artist wants. Because ultimately, your job as a producer is to make everybody as happy as possible while still staying true to your gut instincts. And sometimes it's not possible, right? But my whole goal is whenever I'm working with an artist or with anybody, anybody on a creative project, is to get the most that you possibly can out of the sound, make it the best that it possibly can be from start to finish. In this case, I came in the mixing and mastering process. Brett did a lot of heavy lifting on his ends with his tracking, but I want to dive into the guitar tone because there's a lot going on here that I really thought, thinking back on it, was very interesting on how we achieved this. So I'm just going to play you a few seconds of the track. It slaps still to this day, man. What a fun track. What a fun project. Wow. Okay, so the guitar tone. I want to focus on that specifically in this video. There's other things I may make other videos on, because there's a lot of cool things happening here. Guitars. When they came in, let me just solo what they are with the final processing. Okay, so my original bounce that I sent to him in the early stages of the mix were something like this. Okay, and in the context of the mix, it's darker, obviously. This is just my personal taste. I like guitars more thicker, a little bit more low end, in this genre specifically. I just like putting as much low end as I can possibly put in guitars and still get away with, because I feel like guitars can be they can be very thin. And I feel like a lot of it, just for my ears and all the records that I go back to, whether it's, the Black Album or Blood Sugar Sex Magic with the Chili Pepper. Well, that's actually not really a great example. STP, the Black Album, when I think of all the, these Green Day, I think of Nirvana, all these bands with kind of that sound that punk rock kind of stemmed from, even if there was some metal involved in the mix, like Metallica, the Black Album, there's just kind of that low end growl and girth, and I like that. So I'll get away with as much of it as I can, but in the context of this track and Brett, as just Brett's sound and what he is as an artist, the bounce that I sent him, he originally gave me a note back and said, "Hey, can we? I love where this is going. Can we get a little bit more?" I can't remember how he described it. Brett, if you're watching, leave a comment down below on what you wanted and how we got there with it. But I think you wanted more of like this frenetic kind of staticky sound, that kind of like 3 to 5K noise. Trash, but in a good way. And so this is what I sent him. Kind of more of like that, which I really like. Oh baby, I'm alright, can't you see it? The vocal stands out a little bit more because there's not as much top end with the guitars. But here's how we kind of came to this this compromise. We had some phone calls about it, and I remember I sent a couple of bounces where I cranked, that frequency up a little bit more. And even when I did that, I was reticent about it because I said, look, if we crank up those frequencies, it's just going to be really ear fatiguing and your voice is going to get drowned out. Then we got to turn the voice up, and then it's like too much vocal for the genre that it's in. And it's just like, you change one thing and then it has this domino effect of it literally affects all these other aspects of the mix and the construct and the construction of the foundation of the sound. And then it just kind of hit me. I was like, well, dang, why don't we just use parallel processing? So that's what I did. And I literally took a duplicate aux and just had that signal go dry to that duplicate aux, and then we just blended to taste. And I remember, so we're at about minus 15 here or so. I remember, I think I started around minus 30 or minus 25 on the first bounces, and then he'd set me back like, yes, that's it, but more. I want more. So I'd get, and then right around this 5 and 15, 5 and 15, this is kind of like that magic mix. So let me put it back in, and then we'll hear the final. It's got that aggressiveness. So let's hear what that is on its own. And that's with those two sounds blended, that's the sound. So, and then I'll put in my original processing. And it's kind of best of both worlds. And to show you guys real quick what I'm running here on my processing, let me go back to. Okay, so just let me take out the fizz alone. Okay, so we're taking at least 7.5 dB off of 2.8K. Look at all this 3K that I ended up taking out, and because it was just so much, But then when I took all this out, we had to add some of it back in, but I didn't want it on that main guitar bus. So that's where the parallel processing really came into play. you know, and then boosting a little bit of whatever this is, 1.6, which typically that's a frequency that I don't boost on guitars. I don't know why I did that. Typically, I'm scooping out 1.5 to 2.3, somewhere around there, and then giving a little love, whatever, 121. So, right, this SSL is doing a lot of heavy lifting. A little bit of compression, and then obviously giving a lot more gain because we took so much out. So just kind of some gain staging. And then let's see what we have here. All right, even taking more 3K out. I mean, significant amount of 3K out, right? So, and then hitting some Pultec. Taking out. All right, so that 8K, a little bit of that sizzle. All right, I love Pultec. Anytime I can use a Pultec, I'll use it. And then let's do a little bit of mid dip in 200. All right, kind of tightens it up a little bit more. Okay, so that was really kind of my processing on it. And you know, again, if we let's just kind of A/B it. Okay, but that energy, you know, it's a lot more pleasing to the ear. There's a lot more there's more body, there's more low end, there's more of a lushness to a certain degree. And now, you know, now we'll throw that parallel in, which really is just what the track was when it came in, the guitars when they came in. You know, there's really not much going on here on the inline stuff. Guitar. Oh, I guess I have a middle guitar. He sent 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there was a guitar that I actually put in the middle too. That's interesting. Very light in the mix. Very light. Oh, and it's just those little inserts. Okay. Interesting. No, and it's there in the chorus too. Okay, so another example of I didn't want this getting in the way of the vocal, so I took out some top end and some low end, but it is in the middle of the pan. Right. Now watch this. If I put those frequencies back in by bypassing this this parametric, watch what happens.
I have a bad brain sometimes. We both walk on the same lines. I hear this shit all the time.
It's so subtle.
You got what you want.
It's so subtle, but it just gets in the way. It gets out of the way of the vocal. Let's hear that again. This is some really, really great stuff. This is the stuff that I live for. It's just like these little nuances. So with it in.
I have a bad brain sometimes. We both walk on the same lines. I hear this shit all the time. Hey, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, so subtle. It's so subtle. But that's, you know, when you crank it up loud in the room, and majority of the time when I'm doing mixing, it's like at very normal volume and even quiet. I try to mix as quiet as I can. But you got to crank it once in a while to really see what's going on, because those frequencies will just glare at you. And the frequencies that are going to take your head off, you don't know they're there until you crank it. And that's just one of those things that, you know, you just do. So, but yeah, so that's kind of what's going on there. And Let's see what else, if there's any other ideas here that I can show you. Little saturation knob on the solo. Very, 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 very light. I just wanted a little bit more of that, I guess. And yeah, let me bring up a fader. Okay, so you can hear those frequencies. All right, and then this is really where it gets interesting. When you're going to blend this, obviously do it to the track. Don't do it so, I mean, you can put it on solo, but whenever you're doing like manipulation like this, mix as much as you can, not in solo mode. I'm going to say it again. Mix as much as you can, make as many decisions as you can, not in solo mode. Because it doesn't matter what the hell it sounds like on its own. It matters what it sounds like with everything together. Because nobody's going to hear anything soloed unless it's literally a soloed part, and that's, you know, obviously it's got to sound good on its own, but typically if you start mixing with everything together, the elements are going to sound good on their own when you solo them out. All right, obviously too much. All right, you lose some energy. And that's just kind of the sweet spot. You know, that's the sweet spot. That was what was the mix. And I mean, you know, look, it's one of those things where there's no science to it. There's a labyrinth of ways, there's a plethora of ways that we could have achieved this. But it wasn't until I went to parallel processing to solve the problem that it worked. And I did the same thing for the guitar solo, because if you look, we have duplicates on the guitars, on the guitar solo tracks. So we'll skip ahead. I never labeled. I pulled a cardinal sin on myself, because I always label things, but apparently I didn't on this track for whatever reason.
Hey, you got what you wanted.
Yeah, so another example, right? So let's take the solo. Love that. Well, if we take out that fizz, yeah. Right, and on its own, and that's how it came in. Look, I mean, that's how the guitars came in. So he wanted this very, very thin, very kind of trashy thing, and I was like, I get where he's going, but we've got to have something that's going to compete, you know, with the drums just slamming and the bass slamming, and I'll probably have to make some other videos on how we did that as well, but a lot of it's great, you know, it comes down to the performance. So yeah. So that's kind of a look into parallel processing and the power that you have with it. I use it a ton, and you can do it literally with anything. So I'm excited to get to some more videos for you guys on this. And like I said, there's millions of ways to do it. The possibilities are endless, but it's all about serving the song and just finding a way to solve that problem. You know, so whatever that is. If you want a little bit more top end, okay, well, it's about finding the right top end. You know, finding the right way to do it for that specific purpose. That's really what I believe is what separates the men from the boys in this business, the women from the girls in this business, with any art form. And it just gives you more tools. It gives you more options, because I'll be honest with you, it wasn't working. It wasn't happening when we tried kind of the more conventional way of, okay, well, let me just turn up the EQ. And that I kind of knew it wasn't going to work, but I just did it anyway. You got to try stuff. You got to see what happens, you know? So that is kind of the essence of this. So if you guys like the video, give the video a like. I really hope that this was of value to you. And again, if you are not subscribed yet to the channel and you're still here, hit that subscribe button, because 80% of this channel, viewer-wise, is not yet subscribed. So if you're here and you're part of that 80%, I am so grateful that you're here, and thank you for considering to subscribe. Other than that, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.